Hello and welcome to Power Hour. Today's topic is how to create a drop-down at the top of a gallery in Power Apps to filter the gallery by various things like the years of the items in the gallery or something like a status. And here we go. Here's the stinger. All right, so if you're new to Power Hour, I'm Laura Rogers, and this is Joelle Jobson. And we've been doing this for about 10 years, and we're geared towards business users, not super technical, anything you can do in Microsoft 365. We started out as just SharePoint Power Hour, but now it's all the different things business users can do in Microsoft 365. We do a lot of Power Apps, Power Automate, things in SharePoint, all the different apps like Planner and Loop, etc. So today's demo, you all vote. You all voted from the newsletter that I sent out yesterday, and you voted for the topic of having a drop-down at the top of a gallery in Power Apps to filter the items in the gallery. So what I've done ahead of time is I figured out I asked ChatGPT for a PowerShell script. So I wanted to have a fake list of thousands of items that I could use to demo this so that I could show you kind of what happens when you have large lists in SharePoint and kind of sometimes you're forced to need to filter the gallery in Power Apps. And we'll talk about delegation and some reasons, and then how to build the filters, how to build the drop-down boxes. So let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Move this over here. And where did my screen go? Sorry about that. Okay, so what I've done is if you've never been to Power Hour before, we have our chat going in Teams. So this is live. You never know what's going to happen. So wherever you're watching this, you're going to have a button to request to join. So we are manually inviting people into this Teams team as an external user. So when you get your invitation, you'll be in this Power Hour team, general channel, and you go to the tab for today. Here's 313. And then once you go to that tab, you click the little chat bubble, and then that's where we have our lovely commentary questions. It's fun. You never know what's going to happen. And so there's our chat going. So ask me questions as I go, and Joelle and I are kind of talk through the questions and, discuss things as we build it. All right, so what I've done is, like I mentioned, I used PowerShell to create this SharePoint list of, I put a count on it. It looks like it's 1,678 items, and it is just from the issue tracker list template in SharePoint. So it's got all these just kind of random items. And what I've done is for the date reported here, I wanted to randomize that date. I wanted to have things from multiple years in here. So the PowerShell script randomized things like, the priority status, date reported. So it's got a lot of different years. Now, I'm not going to use the created column because obviously I just created all these. They're going to have today's date on them. But I wanted to show you the concept of filtering by dates potentially. So the date reported is the one that I'm going to use to have a kind of a variance of different dates. So in your situation, you might be using the created column, but this is the date column I'll be using. So it's just an issue tracker list. And so I have built a few things in Power Apps already, but I wanted to go ahead and show you how, just real quick, if you've never used Power Apps, how I got to this point. And so I'm going to do a few steps here just from starting from scratch, just so you can see, the steps to get to that point. And then I'll just kind of jump over to the one that I already built, kind of like a cooking show. Okay. So here's Power Apps. I'm going to go create, and it's got a lot of, it's got a blank canvas app that you can create here. But it's also got several different ways that you can start your app, like with this start with a page design concept. So I'll just say gallery connected to external data because I have SharePoint data. So I like this second one right here. and it's just going to give me a few things already. Just so if you're trying this at home and you just kind of want to try it out and see how it goes, then that's this will kind of put a few things together for you in your app. So I've got this, here's my SharePoint site I'm going to pick here. And then my issue tracker list is the one that I'm going to pick that I added all those thousands of items to. And then it's just going to create an app for me, and it's going to already have a bunch built. It's a nice little shortcut to just get going and have a list of things and also have a form, just really quick, and it saves you some time. So here's my app. It's got all my issues. So as you click on issues, you can see that it shows it over on the right, and you can see it's got the date reported. And again, I mentioned that I have the date reported going over several years, so that it's so that when I filter by year, it'll kind of make sense to you. So this is the gallery. So this thing over here on the left is the gallery, and you'll notice that it's got this little warning right here. So the warning, let me hover over it. The warning says delegation warning. The search part of this formula might not work correctly on large data sets. Notice that they've got this built-in search box. And when it says anything, when you have this delegation warning, it means that if your list goes over a certain threshold of the number of items, then you're going to have issues. You're not going to show, all the items in the list. So where that threshold is coming from is in the settings here. So by default, your settings have this data row limit of 500. Now you can increase this all the way up to 2000, but unfortunately, when you start just going in here and increasing your data row limit, first of all, you can only go up to 2000. And second of all, your performance of your whole app is going to suffer when you're trying to show that many items at once. And what this really is telling you is this how many items I'm going to show all at one time in one big giant list. So usually, realistically, end users don't need to see the entire list. They usually are going, honing in on something specific they need. So this is why you have to do things like put filters, drop downs at the top of it for them to kind of narrow down what they're trying to get to. And that will alleviate that delegation issue. So I'm going to leave this limit at 500. And I'll go ahead so I created another app. I built this, and then I just created another one with a gallery just like this. And so that I can kind of have a bigger surface to work on and have, show you a few things at the top of the gallery, but it's also just that same issue list. So I'm just going to close this one. All right, so here, this is, again, I created the exact same thing, but then I just created another screen in it, and I just called it list of issues. So this is for the items property. I've just got issue tracker. I've just got all the items in the whole list. I don't have any filter functions. Let me make sure this is zoomed in. Yeah, that's good. I don't have any kind of filtering going on here. It's just everything. But unfortunately, it's hitting the data row limit. So I put this, so you can see how many items it's showing. I put this count. So I said count rows in the issue tracker. Notice that it's showing 500. That's because that's the data limit. My actual list has 1,678 items in it. There's a count that you can put on your SharePoint list. Also, when you are in your site contents, you can see immediately the number of items of all your lists. So 1,678 shows right there also. So that's how many items I have in my list. It's only showing 500. If I went in and if I went to the settings and increased that number up a few, 800, 1,000, whatever, it would still just only show a total of, it would show that number, since this list has way more than that. So when this happens in the real world, when you want to build a Power App where you do have a list that's got thousands of items and you still do want to use it in the Power App and have people be able to find things, then this is where we, like building drop-down boxes and ways that people need to filter things in the list. I had a customer that I had built a few filters at the drop-downs, like I'm about to show you, at the top of a list of projects, the other day they said they were looking for a specific project and it wasn't showing. And I kind of dug in because I had already filtered it by a couple things, like the division of the company that the project was associated with, and the status of the project. And then it was still not showing the project they could find. And then I realized it was because within that one division, within that one status, there were more than 500 items. So I went ahead and added another filter and put a filter for the year, so that they could narrow it down. So they had another level of filtering. So it's kind of what you have to do within whatever filter you have. It needs to be less than whatever that data limit total is in your app. So you have to keep filtering down and making the end users have to pick more columns to filter by. You might have to do that. So an obvious thing that all lists are going to have is a year. So for the year, that's the first thing I'm going to show you. And there's an easy way that you can just generate a list of years. So this will be different for different things like statuses and priorities and like people's names and stuff. But for the year, what I went ahead and did is we're going to have, when we go to the on start, and I put this in the chat, there's a notes tab over in Teams that I'm sharing with you. And I put this formula over in the notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a collection. So when the app starts up, I'm going to create a collection, and it's just going to be a list of years. So in this case, I only want to have 4 years in the list. So it's going to say, create this collection called collect years. And the first year I'm using this formula called year. So I'm saying, what is the year of right now? So the good thing about what I'm doing here is that you don't ever have to change it necessarily. It's just always going to show this year and the 3 years before it. So obviously you can add more rows to add more years, but next year when it hits 2025, I'm not going to have to manually remember to add 25 to this. So it's just going to say, what year is it right now? And then what year is it right now? -1, -2, -3. So then when I run that, I'll just say run on start, where I can go find that collection it just created over in collections. Move this out of the way. I've got my 4 years. So this is what I can use. This collection is what I can use in a drop-down box to filter this gallery. So that's what we'll demo first. So I'll go ahead and create and add a drop-down box. I'm going to try and use the modern one. If I have any issues with the modern drop-down, it's probably because the modern ones are not necessarily fully baked right now. They're still kind of, to me, they're kind of in preview mode and they have a few things missing. So we'll see. So what do I want for my data source? You can just skip this screen and you can just manually add it in there. So for my data source, by default, it just puts these items. Now keep this in mind. So right here, this syntax that it's using is that it puts square brackets and then it just puts the names of several items, just all with commas between them. And that is just a simple way. If you'd ever just have a static list of stuff that you want to put in a dropdown, you can use this little easy syntax. Like if you have 3 statuses, active, pending, and closed, you could just type them in here if you don't think they're going to change a lot. So it just defaulted to item 1, 2, and 3, but instead of those, I'm going to put the collection that I created of years. So now let's see if I narrow that down a little bit. Let's see if it shows it when I preview my app. Oh, no, that's the wrong. Let me see. So my collection of years, I'll go to my fields here. Oh, I don't have any fields. So I got to put my year field. So now it's got my year field. Try it out. Okay, there we go. And then I can let's see if I can default this to this year. I can set it to default in the old kind of drop down, but I don't think it has a default. Oh wait, default select, there it is. I'll just put year now. I didn't put it in all cap year. There, it's case sensitive. Oh, it specs a table value. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so now you can see it defaults to 2024. And that's my little, it's just called drop down canvas 1. So I'm going to change what this drop down is called. Was there a question or something I saw? I think I saw somebody typing here. What's the question, Joelle? Create a list button trigger.
It's unrelated.
Oh. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's the year. So I've now got the years in the drop down, and it defaults to this year. And then what I want to do is have it default to only showing items from this year. Notice that it shows, you can see on the screen, it's got 2021, 2022. Now this total over here is the total items that it's hitting for all the items in the list where it's hitting the delegation warning. But what I want to do is I want to count the total of the filtered items. Let me kind of scoot this stuff over. Filtered. And I'm going to do a, let's see. The name of the gallery. Gal project, no wait, gal issues, dot, all items count. So this is going to show an all items count of what's filtered. Now it says 900. The reason it says 900 is because I started scrolling, and this all items count thing is a little, see, it's a little weird. Notice how it changed to 1,000. So when you're showing using the name of the gallery dot all items count, it's just it's kind of funky because you have to keep scrolling and scroll through everything to make it show an accurate number. But this number over here on the right is like the data row limit. So now this list is not going to show all the items. Let me refresh this and make sure. Yeah. If somebody, so yeah, see now it says filtered 600. it kind of realized what was going on. So if a user is looking at this gallery and you're using a search box, or if they're scrolling through it and they're looking for something that falls outside of that first 500 range, then that's when they're going to not be able to find it. So that was what I was mentioning that I had come across with that customer. So I'm going to filter the issue tracker by whatever is in this dropdown. So I'll change the dropdown, put DRP year. I like to give things a better name when I'm referring to them in a formula. So then I'm going to put a filter around this list of issues. So for the items property for this gallery, that's where it was just the name of the SharePoint list will just show everything in that list, but I'm going to filter it, and I'm going to say, what do I want to filter it by? Oops, I put filtered instead of filter. What do I want to filter it by? And then I'm going to say I want the date reported equals, I need the year of the date reported to equal the year in the drop-down box. So that's a little bit more complicated because it needs to be a range. So I can't just say the date reported equals the year of the date reported equals what's in the drop-down box. I can't just say it like that. I have to do a more complex formula to actually get a full date range. So I need to say the date in the SharePoint list is greater than basically January 1st of the year they pick, and then it is less than or equal to December 31st of that year. So I need to be a lot more specific with that year. So I'm going to say date reported is greater than or equal to, and then the drop down where I'm picking the year, let me copy this. I'll explain it all when I date reported. Okay, let me fix this a little bit. Okay, so I called it is DRP pick year. DRP year, let me change it to pick year. Okay, so this is, I'm filtering the list of issues where the date reported is greater than the value of this drop-down box. I need to put a date here. So I'm getting the date, a date function. Close this too, sorry. Split it all out. Okay, so when I do this date function, the date function, I can't just tell it 1/1/2024. I can't just concatenate those things together. It needs it to be as a date. So if I try to just put 1/1/2024 in quotes or just type it out, it wouldn't recognize it. So it needs to this filter by date needs to recognize the data as a date. So I use this date function. So I'm saying, so if I just point to the name, whatever they've picked in the dropdown, inherently that's going to think that it's text by default. So I need to make it know that it's a value. I need to make it know that it's a number. So potentially I could, when I'm creating the collection in the first place, I might be able to just put a value function over there so that it puts values in the collection. But I'm just looking at it as a value. So the year 2024 as a value, and then 1/1, so January 1st. So then I'm concatenating, I'm saying and. So in Power Apps, when you're doing 2 ampersands, that's an and. If I did 2 pipes like this, that would be an or. But I'm doing 2 ampersands. So and the date reported is less than or equal to the value of the date, the year, 12/31. So that's the beginning of the year and the end of the year. So I'm filtering it down to only showing things within the year that is in the dropdown. So now I can see, you can remember a second ago, it showed a bunch of items from 2021, 2022 showing here. And now it shows that I only have 100 items in 2024. So let's try this out. 2023, and look at that. Now it's showing 100 items from 2023. And again, this filtered 100 thing is this specific function in Power Apps. See how I keep scrolling and it changes? This specific function where you just show, have it count the number of items showing in a gallery is not the most accurate because it's kind of weird the way you have to scroll through it to show it. So I've got 2024, 2023, 2022. So you can see that it's narrowing down the list by year. Do you have any questions about how to narrow it down by, if those formulas make sense? If I specify date format in the collection and also in the formula, it will be angry. I'm not sure. I don't think it would hurt to do it in both places. That's funny. Yeah, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not a date format in the collection. It's just the number, it's just the year. So that's why I have to do that date function I have to put together those 3 parts of the year. So in the date function, it's got 3 different things. So if I do, let me just put the date function in this app real quick so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so date. And see, it just needs year, month, and day. So that's why I needed the year to be variable, right? It needs to be just whatever they picked in the dropdown. And then the month and the day are the ones that need to be just like January 1st or December 31st. So the year was the only thing that I needed to be different. So because that's what that formula looks like. So, and I'll go ahead and put this formula also in the little, our notes for today. Kind of put it off to the right there. All right, so now y'all have a copy of that. Okay, so then you might want to have other things. Now I want to get a better accurate. I don't like the way this thing is not accurate by default. It just shows 100 by default. So I want to be able to see the accurate number showing at the top here. So I want to see the actual number of things that are from the year 2021. So let me go do kind of the same. I'll do a filter issue tracker, where I'll do the same exact filter in here. I'm going to put it in the count. I'll just see if it shows me a better number there. And this is just kind of working around a little bug there. I don't know if this is going to do what I expect it to do. Yeah, it's still showing like a delegation issue, but because it's not sure. But but at least it's showing the correct number. So it's showing 252 things from the year 2021. Yeah, and now 500 from 2022, and 500 from 2023, and 107 from 2024. Okay, so at least it shows like kind of different numbers for each one. And that's what you want to do, is you want to keep it under 500, under whatever your data row limit is. So you might want to give people other filters. And a lot of the times you put the filter kind of like up at the top, or, you know, you might have a whole screen where they have to filter it first, and they do the filters and they click go, and then they're taken to their list of stuff, because a lot of you don't want to show them the list of stuff and make them think they can just scroll through it and find things if they haven't filtered it yet. So a lot of times you want to make them filter it and do that first. Now, if you just have it defaulting to this year and you just want to show them things from this year first, and that's less than 500 items, then that makes total sense. So let's go ahead and try doing it with a status. So I'll go ahead. Now, remember, one of the things that I showed you can do is you could just put, for the items property, is you could just put the square brackets and put the items that you want to, the list of things, just in quotes in there. So let me do that first. So I'll just put, I'll make this be the status, and I'll say not the collection of years, but completed. See how easy this is? If you just have static stuff, closed, new, in progress. And it is case sensitive. So now it's going to show, let me pick status. And we'll look at how to do things more dynamically too. Add field, it's just the value, and I'm going to remove, I don't know why it still thinks there's a year in there. So then what if you want to default to a certain, you could default it to a certain status, or you could say, you know, make them say you want to pick a status. So I'll say pick status, but that's not, so it's got to be value pick status, because it expects a table structure here. We have a whole other power hour that we did about working with drop-down boxes and radio buttons and things in your forms. And so a lot of kind of the principles having to do with how this works, just the drop-down boxes themselves and the items in the drop-down boxes and filtering them and things like that, that's there's a whole other power hour about that. We also did another power hour about how to put little arrows next to the top of each one of the sort of the headers here, and how to do sorting, and how you could just have a little button that sorts each column dynamically, whichever column you click on. So I'll have to find the links to those. All right, so it says pick status. Let's see if it shows. Yeah, so it's got my statuses here. And then I want to filter it by status also. So if I want to filter it by two different things, so now I've got the date in here. I'm going to remove my formatting because I want to have just another row for having a different thing that I'm filtering by. I'm going to put a comma at the end of this one, and then I'm going to say I have another thing that I want to filter by. So I'll say status dot value. So this column is called status in SharePoint. It's called status in my list. And I need to make sure that I know the system name of it. So it says field equals status. And that's one way to look at what the system name is. When I sorted it by status real quick, and I look and I see the system name is status. So I've got status.value equals, and then I'm going to put the name of the dropdown, grp pick status dot selected, whatever I selected, dot value. Okay, oh, I don't need another. There we go. So now I've got, since I don't have any statuses that are the default, notice it says pick status. Now this is kind of forcing the person to, they don't see anything listed here. And now since I've got it filtered by status, they have to pick the status. Now, if I have, let me go pick one real quick and see what that looks like. Now I see the completed items and my total changed. Now, if I want to have multiple drop downs, and maybe I've got status, priority, and I don't want them to have to pick a status and a priority and every single thing. I just want them to pick and choose which things they wanted to filter by. I can do that too. So let me move this up here, and I'm going to go ahead and add another one for the priority. And that way I'll be able to show you kind of all these together. So copy. And instead of pick status, this one's going to be pick priority. And then my list of things is going to be what the priorities are. And those are critical, normal. Notice I didn't even do a collection for this because it's not, the collection had that dynamic information, like it was doing a calculation and calculating all these years, but these are just, just static. And critical, normal, low, I think high was another one. Yeah. So those are my different statuses. And then I've got DRP pick priority is what I want to call this. And it says pick priority. And then I've got, make sure it's using the right field. Yeah. And let's see if it works. I haven't put the filter in the gallery yet, so clicking something's not going to make a difference. But I do want it to say I want to pick one first. Yeah, pick priority. Okay. So I could probably create a reset button too that would reset all these. I'll just put a little button. Reset. If I want to reset all the different things in the filters. My on select is going to be reset, and then I have to give it the names DRP. Like if I say just reset DRP pick priority, see it changes it back to pick priority. So I could just reset all those. There are different ways you can do resets, but I'll just say pick status. And then pick here, just put each one of them in there. So now if I click it, it just goes back to pick status, pick priority. Then I have to put the filter for the priority in here too. So this one's going to be very similar to the status. I'll just copy that and paste it to the next line. Shift enter there. DRP pick priority. And then this is going to be priority.value. I have to put, I don't know where this came from. Priority. There we go. Okay, now it's got all three of them in here. So it's filtered by date reported, status, and priority, but I still need to have, at this point, I need to have every single thing selected though. So if I do complete, close or completed or whatever, it's not going to show them until I also pick the priority, but I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to pick everything. So what I do here is then I put like an or. So I'll say each thing, it has something selected or it's blank. So I'll do, or I've got some notes that I'm looking at, or is blank. Okay. Or is blank. And if I do DRP pick status, now DRP pick status is not going to be blank though. So if you have a box that's going to be blank, it's going to have nothing in it, then is blank makes sense. But so this one's completed and normal. What happens if I reset it? Now they're back to 2024. Okay, so by default, it just shows only 2024. And let me see if I choose completed. Now it shows completed. This is the end. This is the expected result. So they don't have to pick something from each box. They can just pick whichever box they want, and I can reset it back and only pick critical. And now I haven't picked a status. I've only picked a priority, and now it's only showing the things of that priority. So I could pick both critical and closed, but I don't have to. But I do make them pick a year. So I'm forcing it to at least have a year filter and not have to pick one of the other ones. And so that's what that or statement is about. So I'm saying, let me get this. I'll just get the whole thing and copy it to the notes over in the chat. Was there, so were there any other questions about that? Let me add that to it. Okay. So
Just
we'll kind of the
comments.
next. Oh, okay. So it's kind of the next thing that I wanted to go over is having this list of things in the dropdown be more dynamic. So one kind of shortcut that you can use with SharePoint, it's already got things in the dropdowns when you have a form. So it's like when you go to this priority dropdown, just in the form that it built for me, then it's going to have this choices thing. So it's going to show me the choices from the issue tracker that are priority. And so whatever choices exist in SharePoint, those are the choices that show in this dropdown. So let me just see, we go back to the priority on my other screen. And here's my priority. And I would need to put the word like in a label. Like if you don't have anything selected at all, you could put the word in a label above, like so they'll know that that's supposed to be the priority. So now let's see with the choices. So now it still shows the right choices. Let me double check that it knows the right field here. Yeah, it does. It's still value. Yeah. So it's now it's a dynamic list of choices. And this other one, so status, is going to be over here. And so this is that the list of choices. So that way, if you change what the different statuses are or what the different priorities are in SharePoint in the list of choices for that column, then it will automatically dynamically change over here and you don't have to manually type them in like this. All right. So I think that, so we can do a little troubleshooting on kind of why it wasn't showing the right thing here when I was doing the filter though. Let me see. Let me go find the comments. Thanks everybody for, do you like that? Let me see. Yeah, Marie, why do you have value equals value equals value? Yeah, it's kind of annoying that you have to, when you have a choice column in SharePoint, you have to put whatever the name of the column is dot value to get kind of what that choice is. So for example, like this priority column is just showing the value, but it's priority dot value, and status is status dot value. Date is just normal. Title's normal. Description's normal. So those are all normal. It was just the name of the column, but when you have those more complex column types like people pickers or lookups or even choice fields to me, they're so simple because you just have a single piece of text you're choosing that it's kind of annoying that you have to do that dot value. But that's kind of, that's the structure that it expects. So that's why those have a different syntax for that. All right. So let's see. Yeah, formula. Lisa said, oh, Marie said formula logic's the largest time sucker of Power Apps. Yeah. Filter for multiple values. I'm not in this demo. I would have to figure that ahead of time. I'm not going to make you suffer through me figuring that out or finding my reference for that. Yeah, a combo box is different. So let's go do a combo box instead, because combo boxes are going to be combo boxes are more common because that's what we've been using in Power Apps all this time. That's what I've done in all my formulas. But this new drop-down box is the new modern drop-down box, and it kind of looks slick and it has this sort of interactive. So let's go ahead and use combo boxes instead, because like I remember I mentioned when I first inserted these modern drop-down boxes that we might have issues with them. So the filtering thing might be part of that. So I'm gonna take the status and I'm just gonna kind of move it out of the way and insert not a modern, but just a regular combo box. So yeah, you're right. So I'm not gonna select a data source. I'm just going to put this over here. And I'm gonna use the same list of stats. Is plural statuses? Is that stati? What's the plural for statuses? Okay, so I've got fields. So this is a single, it's just a value. And then the default, get rid of that. So now I've got this, I'm just going to rename it CMB pick status. And then instead of find items, I want it to say pick status. See, that's the input text placeholder. Dropdowns don't have an input text placeholder, so that's a benefit of having a combo box. Pick status. I'm going to put is searchable false. If you have like a ton of things in your dropdown box and you want them to have to search for something, then you might want is searchable. I don't need that in this case. I've only just got a few things. Let's see, search fields value, select multiple is true right now. I'm going to put false. We can try just changing it to true, but I think there's a lot more that would need to be done with the filter to just change select, to allow it to select multiple. So now I've got to change my reference to that drop down box to CMB. And right here, CMB is blank CMB. So CMB pick status dot selected where's my status value equals or value No, that's the value isn't going to be pick status. That's not a value. So it actually is blank because that's for a combo box, that is the input text placeholder. That's not a value. So it actually is blank. So it is going to be a blank. It's just the way the different controls work. CMB pick status. Oh, I called it CMP. Sorry. Okay, let's try that, see if it works. It should, because is blank is what I used in sort of, my other example that I was referencing, and that's why what I was referencing was working, and what I was doing in here was not working just because of the control type that I had picked, a drop down versus a combo box. So let's try and reset that. You can see visually it looks a little different, the combo box. So I choose blocked. So now it's filtering by 2024 and blocked. And it doesn't have empty as something I can pick from, but I can click the little X to close it to get rid of that. And then critical. So, so then I
they're
I don't
saying
have Go ahead.
Check your spelling.
Oh, okay.
You have CMB instead of CMP.
Yeah, I called it CMP instead of CMB, but I think I called it CMP in CMP and all these other places. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. DRP, CMB. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You're right. In progress. Completed, duplicate. Oh, don't have any of those. 2023. So now I'm showing 2023 in progress. And those are all high. So if I reset it, now they're blank. Now it's not showing the ones that are only the priority though. So I may as well just change the priority. I've got 9 minutes left. May as well just change the priority to be a combo box too. So I'll just move that out of the way and copy and paste that one. And that's going to be my CMB pick priority. Isn't that funny how just the different combo boxes and drop-down boxes have such different behavior and different ways that they work in formulas, right? So I'll take the priority, put that as my issue, my selection here, and then pick, it's going to say pick priority. Okay. And then no selection text means if they haven't picked, if there's nothing picked, pick one or something like that. So you can make it say input text placeholder is pick priority, but then no selection text is slightly different. That way, if nothing is selected, then you can make it say pick status. But again, that's not a value like the drop-down box. The words that I had in there, that was actually that was a value in the combo box, in the drop-down box. But this one is just like visual. Okay, pick status, pick priority. Now I've got to change my formulas here. So CMB pick priority, and then CMB pick priority. So let me read this. So we've got the date pretty much down pat. So I'm filtering the issue tracker where the date reported is in this range. The status dot value equals whatever's picked in the combo box or is blank. And the priority value is equal to whatever's picked in the box or is blank, like that. And let's try that out. So reset, in progress. No, it's not working. So it's got to be the dot. I had that dot selected in there, so I need to put the dot selected back. I'm going to try the is empty versus dot selected and see what the different behavior is for that one. No, it doesn't like is empty. Okay. Dot selected. Dot value. And again, that dot value is because it is one of those choice columns. It wouldn't need to be a dot value if it was a people picker or if it was just a text column. If it was just a text column, you probably wouldn't have it in a drop down though. Okay, so now notice that it's showing the right year and it's showing this value of the status that I picked. And when I didn't have a priority picked, it was showing everything anyway. So if I removed, see, I removed the status and now I only have a priority and now this is all working. So let me copy that formula for you all. And this is different than the formula that I copied before that was working, that was all drop-down boxes. So, and you can tell that because of what I've named things in here. So the DRP is going to be the drop-down box and the CMB is going to be the combo box. So oops, put that like over here. So that's going to be in your notes now. All right. So, and then again, I already did the power hour with kind of having the sort buttons at the tops of all these columns, but now I'm going to fix my reset to the CMB. There we go. So now my reset resets them all. It defaults to 2024. I can pick one or the other of in progress, of the status versus the priority. I don't have to pick both of them, and then it filters it down. Now, if you do have more than 500 items that are, say, status completed or status active, then you do need to force them to pick one, because it's when you're looking at this count, if it gets over whatever that data limit is for the app, then it's not going to show all the items, and then they'll be looking through the list for a specific item, or they'll be using the search box, and then they won't be able to find it because it falls outside of that range. So, all right. I think that wraps it up. I thought that was going to be a power half hour this time. I really did. I was like, I'll just do this real quick. Well, I think I was originally just going to do the year, and then I just started adding things on. So then that's when I kind of went off the rails. That was fun. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And we got Power Automate Week is coming up on the week of the 25th. If you're already an Ultimate student, you already have all of our Power Automate courses in your dashboard. But this is a free Power Automate Week where it's 1 week that anybody can sign up and take our Power Automate Basics and Advanced courses. So just head over to our homepage at iwmentor.com, and there's a sign up button right there on the homepage, and you can sign up. And then when the 25th hits, that morning, 6 a.m., you will be enrolled in those classes automatically, and then they'll be in your dashboard, and you can just start working through them. They're self-paced. So, and I just wrote a blog post about it. It is on wonderlaura.com, and it's also at iwmentor.com. If you click blog at the very bottom, it's also there. Thanks everybody for coming. Check out our schedule on our website. Click schedule at the top to see when the next power hour is going to be, and we'll see you all next time.